forget about long-term diets for a second. What if I told you the food you eat this weekend could actually impact your memory by Monday? Yeah, it sounds kind of crazy, but that's the shocking possibility we're exploring today, all based on a fascinating new study that shows a surprisingly fast link between what's on your plate and how your brain works.
So this is the big question, right? We're not talking about some slow decline over decades. We're asking about the here and now. Could a couple of days of, just indulging actually change the way your brain is wired? Well, let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so before we get to the really new, mind-blowing stuff, we need to set the stage with what we already know. The connection between diet and memory? It's not exactly a new idea. For years, scientists have been looking at it through a condition called metabolic syndrome.
So what is metabolic syndrome? Well, it's not one single disease. Think of it more like a collection of red flags. You've got things like high blood pressure, extra fat around the belly, high blood sugar. If you have a few of these going on, your risk for some pretty serious health problems goes way up. And importantly, it's already been tied to memory issues.
Now this right here gets to the heart of why our brains are so sensitive to what we eat. Your brain is a total energy hog. I mean, it's just a tiny 2% of your body weight, but it burns through 20% of your energy. That means the fuel you give it, the food you eat, matters a lot. So to really test this connection, researchers decided to set up a super focused experiment. They wanted to see the immediate effects of a high-fat diet, moving way beyond those long-term links we've seen in the past.
So here's the breakdown of how they did it. The study, which was published in the journal Neuron, used mice, and they zeroed in on the hippocampus. You can think of that as the brain's memory headquarters. Even more specifically, they were watching a tiny part of it called the dentate gyrus. And then they put these mice on a diet that was 58% fat for just 2 days. But why that one little spot? Why the dentate gyrus? Well, as neurologist Dr. Derek Chang explains, it's absolutely critical for a couple of things: making new memories and telling similar memories apart. It's a vital piece of our mental machinery, which makes it the perfect place to watch for any diet-related changes.
And the results were honestly pretty wild. The biggest finding wasn't just that the diet had an effect, but how unbelievably fast it all happened.
How fast are we talking? It took just 2 days. That is it. Only 48 hours on that high-fat diet, and the mice were already showing significant memory problems. Physically, they looked totally fine, but their ability to form new memories was already taking a hit.
And look, it wasn't just us who were surprised by this. Professor Patrick K. Stanton, who is an expert in neurology, pointed out that the sheer speed of this change was the most fascinating part of the whole study. I mean, we're not talking about a slow burn over months, we're talking about the length of a weekend.
So, this obviously begs the question, how? What in the world was happening inside the brain's wiring to cause memory to break down that quickly?
What the researchers found was a really clear chain reaction, kind of like dominoes falling. The high-fat diet basically cut off the normal fuel, glucose, to certain brain cells. This made a specific type of neuron, these CCK interneurons, just go into overdrive. And that overactivity completely threw a wrench in the whole memory-making machine. The main culprit at the molecular level seems to be an enzyme called PKM2. The easiest way to think about it is like a little switch that controls how cells make energy. And the study found that the activity of this PKM2 enzyme went totally haywire, and that's what was directly causing the memory problems. It became the prime suspect. Okay, so we know the damage happens fast, but here's the really crucial question. Can you undo it just as quickly? The researchers put this to the test, and you know what? The results were actually really encouraging. They discovered 3 different ways to fix the problem. First, they could just give those starved brain cells a direct shot of glucose. Or, second, they could block that overactive PKM2 enzyme. And third, and this is really interesting, they could just have the mice fast for a bit. All 3 of those methods worked and restored memory function.
But here's the real kicker. These fixes didn't just reverse the damage. They could also prevent it from ever happening. When they tried these interventions from the start, it actually protected the mice from developing memory issues even while they were still on that high-fat diet. That's how you know it's a direct cause and effect thing.
Now, of course, we always have to be careful. This was a study on mice, so we can't just copy and paste these results directly onto humans. Still, the implications here are really powerful, and they point right at the choices we all make every single day.
So let's try to translate these findings. For the mice, memory problems showed up in just a couple of days. For you, that suggests our brains might also be super sensitive to short-term changes in diet. The mice had cognitive issues before they gained any weight, which hints that brain changes can happen before you ever see physical ones. And maybe most importantly, the fact that the damage was reversible just shows how much power our daily food choices really hold.
Dr. Cheng's conclusion really brings it all home. This isn't about genetics or things we can't control. He calls food choices a modifiable risk factor. This research gives us a clear reason why those choices have such a powerful and such an immediate impact.
So, let's just end on this thought. This isn't about some grand diet plan for next year. It's about the very real, very direct link between your next meal and how well your brain is performing. If just 2 days can make a difference you can measure, then the power to change how you think is sitting on your plate right now. The only question is, what are you going to choose?